Hi everyone and welcome to SWPL My Story, and today we have something different for us. We've got George Thomson from ACA Scholarships joining us today. How are you, George?
Doing well, Martin. Thanks for having us. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, and thanks for taking the time to join us today. Now, the line of work that you're in is something that's always intrigued me. With the way that Scottish football is, how competitive it is. This is definitely just a different avenue. Obviously, we correlate more towards the women's game, and there's so many of the players that are playing in the top leagues at the moment who have went down the scholarship route. So when you agreed to come on, I thought it'd be a fantastic opportunity for you to kind of tell people everything that was involved. So just to start us off, do you want to tell us a little bit about ACA and the sort of things that you do?
Yeah, so ACA was sort of started sort of during the COVID period, actually. I'd been working for sort of different companies in the past who had been sending athletes over to the US, had built up really great relationships with thousands of colleges and coaches over in the US. And it was just one of those sort of periods where I thought, why not? Just kind of venture out on your own. So that's sort of how ACA started. And now we've got I think across all of our social media platforms, we've got over sort of 60,000 followers across sort of Instagram, TikTok, and things like that. And we've got athletes from all over the world as well, that have started the program with us who are looking to go to the US. As far as, South Africa, Australia, dotted all around Europe as well. But of course, a lot of the players that we have are currently based in the UK and currently Scotland as well. So it's a great opportunity for players, boys and girls who maybe are unsure of what their plan is, what their route is after high school. I was certainly one of those people. I'd left school in fifth year. I hadn't really had any sort of thinking of, what I wanted to do, prior to that. Education was always in my mind, and it was certainly my parents' mind as well. So once this opportunity came around for me to go over to the US, I just sort of grabbed it with both hands, really.
I think that's something that's important, and it's probably something important for us to address. And we're going to go on to speak about like your kind of player pathway. But if we're brutally honest about it, not every player is going to be able to play professionally at the top level, and this is absolutely an avenue that is there for people to go down. But as I alluded to earlier, there are the SWPL 1 and 2 are littered with players who have went down that route, and maybe at that point it wasn't the right time for them. They maybe weren't quite at the level, but going away and playing abroad has just brought them on as a player to then come back, and they are now best placed to go and compete at the top level.
100%. My own experience, when I was younger, playing boys club football and then ended up getting picked up from Kilmarnock, a Kilmarnock fan, which might be funny to some viewers, but I was in at Kilmarnock sort of for a couple of years and then just got that phone call one day. It was just a phone call, believe it or not. We're not signing you for the following season. Absolutely broke my heart. Went back to boys club football again. I think I was there for sort of 6 month period and ended up at Ayr United for 2 or 3 seasons, which is obviously the sort of arch rivals, I suppose. But, it's like a great experience, being part of that pro youth system. But ultimately, like you've sort of touched on, it's less than 1% chance of actually sort of making it, in football, especially, here in Scotland. So once the opportunity came around to go to the US, like I said, I just sort of grabbed it with both hands. And to be honest, I've not really looked back. In terms of the playing side of things, the infrastructure and the coaching, it's all top level. Some of the facilities out there are absolutely night and day compared to what's actually available, and then a lot of that comes through and the investment that's obviously put into it. But like you've sort of touched on, a lot of the women from the women's side of things, I'm pretty sure at least 10 of the players that are in the England squad, they've done so well at the sort of the Euros and obviously recently the World Cup. They all went through the college system as well. So, and some of them maybe just graduated, a couple of years ago. So it just shows you the level, and the standard that's actually out there for players.
So, what is the process for going down this path from beginning to if you do get an offer to go to the US? That'd be really useful to hear that.
Yeah. So we work with all of the universities in the US, just around 3,000, and there's loads of different variables in deciding what university or college you're going to go to. You've obviously got the scholarship side of things, which is obviously the sort of financial implication, and a lot of that comes from the coaches' pot of funding, but there's also an academic pot of funding as well. So the coaches' pot, that's obviously if he or she decides, if you're a good enough player or not to go into their programme. And the academic side of things as well comes from student athletes, national fives. It comes from their hires, and that can obviously help fund all of this. So we help them through that process, deciding what sort of school they're looking to go to. And then ultimately, what you're wanting is as many offers as possible from colleges. So hypothetically, you're wanting as many offers on the table as possible, like we sort of touched on. And whatever school sort of tick the most boxes for you is probably the one you'll end up going to. And that's sort of what happened with me. I had offers from different sort of locations in America years ago when I went through this process myself as a kid. But one that really stood out to me was one I ended up going to, which was around 20 minutes from Chicago, where I studied sports business. The scholarship was really good. I think it paid for around 95% of my time there, which included sort of housing, tuition, and food as well. So it's really a great thing for students that, like I said, are probably unsure of what they're looking to do. And one of the biggest things about this process is the time to start, and that's something I honestly, Martin, I probably couldn't stress enough. Over here in Scotland, if you're looking to go into further education, you probably don't look into it until you're in 5th year or even as late as 6th year at school. But going through this process, it can start as young as 13, 14 years old, which to us, sounds mental. Looking at university, it's sort of 13, 14. But the reason for that is college coaches recruit up to 2 years in advance. So see, by the time you're actually in 4th year or the start of 5th year, when you've just got your National 5 results, you could actually be placed at an American university, even although you'll not go until the end of 6th year. So the recruitment timeline is totally different compared to what it's like potentially going to college or uni in the UK.
No, I think that's really important. It's something that I know a little bit about, and obviously not as much as you, but to have that option to put yourself forward for it, and then things may change. A lot of the viewers that we have are playing grassroots or they're in academies at the moment, but to have that as an option that in 2 years' time you don't know what's going to happen in your own football career, your own life, your own schooling. But if you've got that as a potential destination for you, it's only going to stand you in good stead, I feel.
100%. Even if you're in sort of an academy, like you sort of touched on, it's probably less than 1% of people that actually, make it as such. You always have to have a backup plan, regardless. Even if you're in it, say you're at a top sort of Celtic, Rangers, Glasgow City, one of the Edinburgh clubs or whatever, you have to have a backup plan as well. Ultimately, if you're an academy in Scotland, you're probably going to go out on loan anyway before you make your debut at one of these big clubs. And if you don't make it there, then they're never going to play you as well. And that's sort of what happened to me when I was younger. I was in the air, I was getting tried and tested at the reserve level. I'd scored a few goals, but I'd get put on to junior football. So I must have been 16, 17, playing up front as a striker, against 30, 35-year-old guys who had just finished their work in the morning and stuff like that. And it's a totally different experience to what I was used to, playing guys my own age. But it certainly opened my eyes to the realistic chances, I suppose, of being a professional football player.
So I know that you have some events coming up, so it'd probably be a good opportunity for you to let us know about where they are, how to get in touch with you, that sort of thing.
Aye, so we've got events coming up. We've got an event coming up in Glasgow this month, which is the 26th of November at Tory Glen. The average age of players signing up for both boys and girls, I would say, is probably around 15 years old. We do have a couple of younger athletes as well who have signed up, and to be honest, it's been great, to see the amount of people that have signed up for. I think we've had over 40 applications in the last sort of couple of weeks, which is great. It just shows people are sort of interested in looking into their future. And we've also got an event up in Aberdeen, which is going to be on the 3rd of December at Cormack Park, where Aberdeen train. So, no, we're really looking forward to that.
What we'll do as well is when we put this up, we'll put how to get in touch with you and all that type of stuff. But
absolutely, if you're looking to potentially come along to the event, our social media, you can go into our bio and sort of click the link there, or you can go onto our website as well. It's www.acascholarship.com. ACA-scholarships.com, and all the sort of relevant information will be on there for everyone.
No, that's brilliant, George, and thanks for taking the time to speak to us today.
No problem at all, man. Thanks for having us.
And thanks everyone for joining us on SWPL My Story.